We have Betty Lampel-Liep, who will be talking about her mother's story.
My mother, Lillian Lampel, was 12 years old at the time of the fire. She is now 103 in the nursing home, and fortunately, she does not remember the fire any longer. So this is her story as told to me years ago when she could remember. I was 12 years old on October 12, 1918, one of 8 children of Frank and Josephine Rongainen, you know, that Finnish Rongainen. We were living on our family farm east of Kettle River on County Road 12, across the road from the Mamie Ronkanen farm. That still is in Mamie Ronkanen's name, or the family name. My father, along with other able-bodied men, he was directing the firefighters west of Kettle River in a desperate, vain attempt to stop the fires. These fires had been burning for several weeks, actually. About 5 in the afternoon, the men realized it was hopeless when the fire jumped the Kettle River. He, like all the others, feared for their own safety and the safety of their families at home. Now this is quoting Mother. We had been occupied with the usual farm chores. Alma had the cows in the barn ready for milking. Mother had supper cooking on the kitchen range. She had even baked bread that day. My father came home about 6 o'clock and said, "Everybody get in the car. We have to go. The fire is coming. And it's coming fast. Leave the cows out. You can't start milking them." Supper and the fresh bread were forgotten, and we picked up a few of our own personal things. I myself picked up my little toy dresser and kept it close to me the entire time. We piled into our Dodge touring car and left for Moose Lake. It was so smoky. As we came to the intersection of Highway 12 and Trunk Highway 73, we could see the flames leaping over the treetops to the west. When we got to Moose Lake, Father made us get out of the car with our bags and unloaded us at the Northern Pacific Depot, where relief trains had been ordered. Father went on to drive through the city, warning the people about the impending danger. "Get to the lake, the fire is coming fast." But no one seemed to heed the warning. So he headed back towards the farm. But he was soon forced to turn around and return to the depot, where he again loaded us into the car, and he drove the car right into Moosehead Lake, just as far as it would go. Sparks were coming down like raining water. The canvas top of the car started to burn. Our neighbors, Oscar and Esther Teminen, she was an Eliasson, and their 3 children were in the lake also, along with hundreds of others, and more coming all the time. My father and Oscar went to the pavilion, which was nearby, and found cake pans full of donuts, which they brought back, threw the donuts into the car for us to eat, and they used the pans to throw water on top of the car to prevent it from igniting. There were pigs, cows, chickens, all kinds of animals in the lake. It was just crowded. The relief trains came when Moose Lake was all afire. And the trains, they were whistling and whistling and whistling. Anytime I hear a train now, I always remember that night. It was terrible. We remained in the lake with only the upper part of our bodies above water until midnight. At that time, the fiercest flames had gone by, so the men started to carry us out of the water. My most vivid recollection of that 6 hours in the water were the terrific explosions. It sounded as though we were in a war as we heard the ammunition, the dynamite, storage tanks of gasoline, which were going off. It was awful. We were carried ashore and brought to the high school, which had not burned, and we slept the rest of the night on the floor. By morning, the Red Cross had breakfast for us. Later, Father found that the Oscar Sundlinen house, which was located in the vicinity of Hamlin's, that house had been spared, and they graciously found room for Mother and 5 of us there until the tar paper shack could be built at the farm in the spring. In the meantime, my brother Arnie and sister Alma went to the farm with Father and found all of the buildings destroyed, but the cattle was safe. My maternal grandfather, Carl Peterson's place, further back from the road, somehow escaped the flames. Our cattle were kept there that winter. Neighbors, the Benjamin Eliason family, survived in a plowed field, and they also lived at my grandfather's that winter. I heard later that the Eliason's son, Walter, who was not known to like school, kept peeking from under his blankets. Has the school burned yet? The day after the fire, a temporary morgue had been set up across the street from the Sentinel residence where we were staying. We watched through the windows as the National Guard kept bringing in the blackened victims of the fire. At first, we refused to believe they were remains of human beings, until we saw the shoes on their blackened, burned bodies. What a horrible sight that was, to see them piled like cordwood while waiting to be placed in coffins. For many days after the fire, the smoke from the still burning ruins was a problem for everybody who had to venture outside. Everyone had problems with their eyes, red-rimmed and burning, caused by the smoke and the fumes. It was truly a never-to-be-forgotten night, and I did hang on to that little dresser. I played with it for many years afterwards. That's my mother's story.